Well, there you go, friends. It's a cold one to start the day, and it's quite a heavy one as well. Better get this car running, start defrosting this window. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and I'm actually on Cornwall's higher ground. I'm on Bodmin Moor, but I'm actually looking at a tour over there that I want to go and do a recce. I want to see if it's possible for me to do a wild camp there. I've been up there once or twice, but if I've been coming to this location, I've been going to Kilmartor or moving further off to the other parts of the moor, deeper in towards Havana, then possibly out towards Jamaica Inn and Brown Willie, and further along down over towards Camelford. So this tour doesn't really get a lot of attention from me. So today I'm going to see, I'm going to make that change. I'm going to have a little skirt around it and see if it's possible to do a wild camp there. And I have a little woodland in mind I want to do a recce on, yet again, to see if I can get a wild camp there. I haven't done any wild camping since I've got back from Scotland, and that's quite simply because, you know, I was away for a period of time, and if you're wild camping, you know, even if an overnighter, you're still putting in a lot of time away from home. So I'm accumulating some brownie points, but next month I'll probably do the odd wild camp. So I'm going to recce that and see what potential that has, but I've got high hopes for the woodland that I'm going to go to. Right, I'm just going to go across the cattle grid onto a track which goes a hell of a way out across the moor to another farm, and then from there the bridleway kind of takes you, well, out to the more isolated parts of Bodmin Moor. But we're not here for that. I'm here to get a better view of Hawk's Tor while the sun's on it. Quite simply, I'm hoping I can see a little bit better from where I've parked the car. Right, there is a bit of sun on it actually at the moment. If I zoom in, now I'm hoping at the base of that high stack there may be somewhere I can pitch out of the wind, or potentially pitch. Like I said, I'm here for a recce, but it does look quite nice with the sun on it. I'm sure when the weather's poor, it's not a good place to be. It is quite high, and obviously the wind rattles in off the Atlantic and hits this place hard. I have actually bought my Alpenflage poncho with me just in case we get rain, because I could see these dark clouds, but I'm hoping it's only really a threat. It is cold up here. I'm going to get a hat on and potentially gloves, because the wind is like sapping the heat off your hands. I'm travelling reasonably light. I've brought something to have a brew when I find somewhere I want to sit down. But other than that, it's just a quick recce on that tour and a woodland. So let me get my stuff together and let's start making some tracks. Right, I'm looking at the map and, well, I think I'm going to pretty much have to come around the front of it. There's so much bracken and gorse on this lower slope. I'm going to try and come wide and come up over the, well, basically the saddle here, and approach it from the back, probably from the west side. The east side is obviously a bit steep, and I can already see there's too much vegetation. And on the north side, you can see by the contour lines there, it's going to be too steep to really meaningfully do a bit of a recce on it. I'm not here to kill myself, so I'll come along and come around the back. Now this is actually reminding me of the West Highland Way, all these hard granite gravel tracks. But I'm down here at home in North Cornwall. I've just hit my first formidable obstacle, and it may not look it on camera, but most of that is well over boot height if you get in amongst it, and that water there is extremely deep. I'm looking if I can take a left route, but how much bushwhacking I'm going to have to do pushing through that, or can I come in through this other route down here? I guess that's why I'm here doing a recce. Well, I've just pushed through a load of bracken and I'm following some cattle tracks. They've obviously decided they've made it so bad in that last section, they're now forging a new way around, and that can be possibly your best option sometimes, following cattle tracks. They're obviously going to take the easiest path and of least resistance. The only problem is I'm beginning to skirt wide. I need to be going up, where I'm taking a long meandering left hand walk around the tour, and I can't even see the top of it, so I need to be pushing that way. It's easier going this way, but I'm actually getting further from my objective now. Right, there is an open little grazing area here, but I could already see in front of me beyond that it's a wall of hawthorn, gorse and bracken. Right, I'm going to keep pushing through. Old man's beard. A lot of uses that has. I now have a glimpse of the tour as I make my way up it now. Classic mistake, staying too long on an easier path. Oh, I've got a fantastic view of Kilmore. I'll just let you have a look. There. It looks quite ominous there, doesn't it, when it's got those dark clouds above it. But I'm able to see, if you look between those trees over there, my objective. So I'm going to keep walking up through here, and I'm hoping the cattle tracks from here, where they've grazed it, will get me closer. I'll worry about pushing through the bracken in a minute. So as I said earlier, I haven't really done much on this particular tour, and I've already tried to go directly to the tour, and I've been, well, it's failed attempts due to the undergrowth, bracken and hawthorn trees. I will quickly show you what I'm talking about, but I've had to resort to a less traditional method of navigation, and I'll discuss that, and that will lead into or be part of what I'm going to do, which is basically a group of videos on how I go about wild camping and bushcrafting, finding the locations, finding spots for me to camp at, how I do it, how I conduct myself, thoughts on equipment, you know, the whole shebang. Because quite simply, I've seen a lot of questions on other people's videos relating to this topic, and yes, I've had these questions posed to me before, so I think it's worth me delving into that side of things with a little bit more of an explanation, and actually make it a segment in my channel where I just explain and show you how I go about doing things. But for me here and now, I am using an alternative means of navigation, but I'm just going to show you what I mean, because you know, it could get frustrating. There probably is, some locals probably have direct access and pathways, but I've had to resort, like I said, to this other means. I'm following this cattle track, and you can see the hooves have been sliding in on all this soft vegetation. But if you're trying to push through all this to the top, it might look open here. That's quite simply because the cattle have been eating this and bedding down. You're left, literally, I'll show you, stand over this granite rock. This is what you're trying to push through. You can just see the top of the tour. Let me get up on the wall. Up there. But as you can see, there's a sea of all this. Make it long, difficult, and potentially painful to get up there. So if you're thinking I'm just relying on the cattle tracks themselves, there's a maze of them. They branch off, go here, there and everywhere, as you'd imagine. And yes, you could end up literally walking around where cows have been, picking the best grazing spots, and not achieve your objective, no matter how much you try. But yeah, I've got to get back to figuring out how to get up there. But yeah, don't just aimlessly follow the cattle tracks. They will provide you easier going in a lot of cases, even though the ground's been turned over and it's a mire. But yeah, not necessarily trying to get to where you're trying to get to. It's starting to get closer. Still got a fair way to go yet. We've broke into some open ground again now. And I've got my friend there blocking the path. It's getting closer, but it's slow going. Oh, there's some more of his friends over there. Right, I'm going to have to do this and not scare him too much. I've got one that's come around the back of me. I'm being encircled. He's hiding behind the bush. Highland cattle. I saw plenty of you guys up Scotland. And Kilmore looming over us. Right, I'm looking at that square stone there, which I'm, well, pretty much central of the camera here, and I can see evidence that it's been quarried, and I didn't believe any quarrying took place on this tour, so I'm guessing at some point most of Bodmin Moor was quarried or mined. You can see the groove there. That's where they would have drilled in there. There's another one over there. There's another rock down here which is heavily drilled. Where is it? Over here. Don't want to twist my ankle here. The cattle have been coming in amongst this. They're probably using this to get out of the wind. The wind is starting to get up incidentally, so I want to get this recce done so I can get down in the woodland and have a cup of coffee. There, see? If you look hard enough amongst these rocks, you can see where they've drilled in. That's not recent. This is probably a couple 100 years old. But yeah, evidence of quarrying of the granite boulders here. And stones. Right, I'm following this track around. The wind is really getting up. I'm trying to muffle it on my camera microphone, but I don't think I'm going to have a lot of success. As most of you will know, I'm doing everything on a budget and as cheap as you can go. But I do have one friend looking at me there. But now I'm here, I can see that it definitely was a quarrying operation at one point here. And I didn't know that. And I've not read anything about this particular tour being quarried. He's on his way. You can see a spoil heap of cut granite there. Let's have a quick look. There it is. All along there. That's cut granite. And there looks to be something interesting over here. Is this a quarry? I don't know. Goes down deep in there. I'll be pretty careful how I investigate this. That was quite a nice little find. I found a little quarried area here, and it's now triggered that curiosity that I'm going to really go home and do some research on this. But yeah, it's a nice horseshoe shaped quarry. There is a bit of flooding in here. I'm not going to go in amongst that because to be honest with you, it looks like you could snap legs and ankles, and I don't know how deep the water is. So you can probably just make, well, you can probably just make out the rise of the horseshoe as I bring you around. As you can see, it rises away there, goes right behind those trees, and it comes down on the opposite side here. But you can make out all the water and flooding in it as well. So I'm not going to go playing around in there. I'm on my own after all. Right, you can actually see I'm stood on top this pile of granite, and there is actually a walkway along it. And yeah, you can see it's all man cut and angled, and it goes way out there where they've tipped it. And if I bring you around, you can see the object of my desire is to get up there. Up there. But there's a lot of all this I've got to scrabble over. Right, you can just see we were down there looking into that quarry. This is a little bit more on top. And you can see, you've got to be careful. That's what I'm saying. there's dirty great gaps that go down through the boulders, which is hidden by bracken, and that's where you can snap and trap a leg. So, you know, it is, keep an eye on what you're doing. And you can see that goes down a fair way. It's a little bit more clearer here. I'm stood on the edge. Yeah, that does look deep down there. But I'm going to try and get across it. I'm boulder hopping at the minute. I'm actually going to put my camera down while I scrabble across this. Right, some of all this in amongst the bracken, you could easily stick your foot down in between the boulders and like I said, snap or twist an ankle. So you've got to be a bit careful. You can see trackways, but some of those you've got to be careful because they do skirt around or over the top of some hidden crevices, and as you can see, there's a lot of it. I'm going to make my way up here off camera a minute. Big old cavern in there. It's just a huge slab of granite. I'm watching where I stand as I come around. Look at that slab of granite, huge. And yeah. No, that's not wild camping in. It is so damp, there's water running out of the lower rock. It's just so damp. You can see water dripping down as well. Right, let's keep making our way up here. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid sticking my leg down one of these holes. Right, I am starting to get up to the top now. Actually, this wind is biting. It's getting quite brutal. Right, I've come to, well, pretty much where the rock tour starts. Obviously it goes underground, but there is vegetation here. There's a lot of cattle movement here, dung everywhere, and I'm pretty much certain, because there is actually no wind here, this is where they're coming to rest, or well, basically sleep, or to get out of the worst of the wind. So I don't really, or I wouldn't really want to be pitching up anywhere here, because you could have cattle. Cattle do move at night, not very often, but they do. Look how this was formed. Just a huge rock, almost looks like a hat, but they've even been going in there. It's totally trampled down here. They're using this to get out of the wind. There is a trackway. We've started to pick up a bit of wind again now, but I'm climbing up this bank which runs like a ledge alongside the tour. Right, let's walk up this ledge. It's quite an interesting rock formation here. It's piled all on top of each other like platelets. There. Looks like there's an area here you could use. I'm not sure it's level enough for a tent. It's dry. I could cowboy camp there. Potential for cowboy camping. Right, let's Let's make my way up here. I don't know if I've got access without climbing up there, and I'm on my own. I don't want to do that today. But if I can just scrabble over that little bit of a saddle between these rock formations, I might get a view out over the other side. There's a kind of partial little cave here you can go underneath. I think anybody into climbing, you know, on a basic level, you know, not looking for extreme climbs, might find this fun. I don't know nothing about climbing, but so I'm not suggesting you come here for that purpose. There's a lot of overhangs there. Right, I'm going to try and get up over there. But yet again, the object is not to stick your leg in any of these gullies. Yeah, there is some big drop-offs there, you know, 40, 50 feet. Yeah, that wouldn't do you no good if you went off the side of there, from up there. Right. Come round here. Ooh. These rock formations are absolutely stunning. There's actually a little plateau here. Right. Yeah, you could see if you fell from here, you would hurt yourself. But I mean, that sounds like a basic statement. But just looking at that map, you could see what the map was showing you. I don't want to go too close to the edge because there's another big drop off here. And that's the kind of thing I'm going to discuss when I put together a few videos on how I go about doing things. Just by looking at the map, I was able to make the decisions to how and why I was going to do this recce. Yeah, and some bits of it down over there are vertical. Might not look it here, and I don't want to try and get too close to the edge. I've got yeah, I'm not going to go, it does drop off, believe you me, it might not look it, but behind this shroud of heather, it does drop off very, very severely. What a stunning view. And I can actually see Brown Willie in the distance. Right over there, on the opposite side the moor, many, many miles away, there's Brown Willie. And I've actually done a wild camp up there. And a stunning valley down here. I can actually see the North Cornish coast. I can see, I'll zoom you right in. You might just in the distance see the radio dishes of GCHQ, and that's over Bude. That's the North Cornish coast over there. Right, I'm evidently in a woodland like I said I was going to, and this is a fair way from that tour. But regardless, I've got here and I'm going to quickly recce it, and I think it's got potential, although it does have an extremely damp feel underfoot. But is that just because of the rain we had, or is that going to be how this woodland is? I don't know, and that's what a recce is going to try and tell me. Yeah, I'm going to get the kettle on and have a cup of coffee once I feel I've had a little bit of a look around. The only thing is I could hear people up on the top of the tours shouting and screaming. I think a dog must have broke its lead, or they let it off and they're trying to control it. And that's not what you want to hear. And to be honest with you, it's not what you should be doing on the moors. If you've got a dog, it needs to be under control. And there is actually signage saying that as well. But in any case, I'm going to crack on through this woodland. Now look at this. This tree is grown up right beside this rock wedge. It just looks so, well, out of place, but also natural. And that's what you get with these woodlands which flank the moors. You get all the granite and you get all the trees. They kind of get deformed by the wind because, you know, it is quite rough weather up here quite often. But they're forced to contort themselves in amongst all the rocks and everything else. It is quite a unique habitat here. Although, like I said, a lot of this ground is wet here. I found a few places that I can get a tarp tent up. Obviously, you ain't going to do nothing there. Now, I'm thinking this area has got a bit of potential. There are flat little ledges and spots. So, and the trees are a lot older in here. Yeah, I think this could potentially be a camping area for me, a wild camping area. Right, while I wait for that to boil, I'm going to quickly mention about earlier the tool I use to navigate. Well, I've got a map and a compass, but it doesn't show you the trackway. at the very top near the workings, you can just about faintly make out there would have been a trackway, historic trackway, and you can just see it, and the track does follow it to a small degree. Obviously the cattle, and obviously being left to go back to nature over the years, it is now, for the majority of it, just cattle tracks, deep sloshing mud, gorse, brambles, and you know, and thickets and things like that to navigate through. Obviously if you know the area or local, you probably just go up straight away, you know what you're doing. Like I said, it's not on the map, the trackway, but I used Google Maps, and looking at it I could actually see a very faint track in amongst all the other trackways, which are obviously cattle ones, and you know, to the naked eye they're indistinguishable at ground level trying to navigate them. But that map must have been taken at a time before the bracken is too heavily grown, because you can just faintly follow a track. Obviously Google Maps, you're just a blue dot and you can see where you are. You get on that track and you can follow it, bypassing all the tracks that split off and go here, there and everywhere, the cattle ones. So that was a navigational tool I used to get up there. With navigation you do need to use map and compass as the starting point to your navigational learning and journey. Everything from there on is just navigational aids and to help you speed up, but always learn map and compass first and then move into the other items that you can use to aid you with navigation. The modern ones, as I've just described, well, how basic was that? Just to fire it up, find out where you are. Oh, it's not showing the bracken, and it shows the track and all the other tracks that split off. Blue dot, and you just find. Technology's wonderful, but yeah, starting point, always map and compass if you're getting into navigation. And it is a big aid to me when I'm doing recce's. As you've seen, you can clearly see you wouldn't want to come around that other side, the more northwesterly facing side of that tour, because of the steep gradient and the difficult terrain. I was obviously, you know, before I even got here, able to plot where I was going to make my ascent up to that tour. So yeah, navigation, you need to have an understanding of that to be successful in doing recce's. This woodland though, yeah, I think I've got some potential for the spring and summer when it dries out a bit more. And that tour, I found a few spots I could cowboy camp and possibly get a British Army tarp up into a tent configuration. But up there, because of the exposure, it really does need to be, you know, it's the summer months when, and on days there's absolutely no wind. You don't, you know, and you could have a beautiful camp up there. Yeah, so I'm gonna wait for this to boil. Is it boiling? It's nearly. There's a bit of steam there. It's not quite ready yet. I'm gonna have my coffee and enjoy my surroundings here. But yeah, a productive couple hours. Yet again, the same story for me. I've got to shoot off home. Plenty to do. Well, in fact, lots to do. Not plenty to do that of my choosing. I've just got lots to do and I've got to do it. So yeah, I'm going to get this coffee back my neck, enjoy a few moments here and head off. That wind has picked up as well and there is a bit of a chill. So whether we're going to get rain in that, I don't know. But I should be long gone before that happens. Now, I did buy that alpenflage poncho to do the West Highland Way, but I quickly discovered it was probably too heavy and bulky, even on top of the kit that we did take. So it didn't make the cut to come with me, but it's a fantastic item to bring out here as your security blanket, kind of, if it's going to absolutely, or there's a potential of rain. I've tried it in the rain. Yes, it is totally waterproof, as long as you don't stick your arms outside the hole, and you keep yourself inside the poncho, you know, you ain't getting wet. And the colour scheme, well, a lot of people don't like it, but it does actually kind of work in this kind of environment. This ain't scientific, and I haven't spread it out and tried to camouflage it, but you can see what I mean. The colour scheme this time of year does actually have some relevance. That orangey red colour does fit in, even here in North Cornwall, in a, well, a deciduous woodland. It does actually work. Well then guys, thanks for coming along with me while I've done a recce. I've recce'd 2 locations, so it's been extremely productive. Now, a recce is an important tool in my arsenal for wild camping and bushcrafting. It allows me to get the atmospherics, lay of the land, and basically know what I'm going into when I'm going to go wild camping or possibly bushcrafting. It gives me that that upper hand, and because I usually operate at the tail end of a day and first light, it's nice for me to know exactly what's going on around me and what is around me, so that if I'm called away in the middle of the night or have to leave the location, I'm not scrabbling around. I'm not, you know, being a danger to myself or possibly others, you know, scrabbling around trying to get out of somewhere. I know exactly what that location is about. So yeah, a recce is a valid tool in your arsenal if you're an outdoors person. You can see all the footage and maps you like, and they will give you a really good picture of what's going on, but you cannot be eyes on the ground and, you know, that knowledge that you've picked up by being there and seeing it. So all that's left to be said is take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys on the trail.